People had been seeing the changes surrounding Pastor Travis Greene and his wife, Dr. Jackie Greene, in silence for months. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary at first. Jackie has always maintained a friendly internet persona and frequently showed up with her husband at interviews, church functions, and outreach initiatives. However, her face gradually started to vanish from areas where people were accustomed to seeing her. She had been attending a women's conference every year, but she skipped it. She missed a significant program celebrating the anniversary of her ministry. She had stopped posting encouraging things on social media as well. No updates, no videos, and no fresh photos. Supporters' curiosity was piqued by that abrupt pause, and it quickly developed into a public conversation. Online users started posing queries. While some admirers began to construct their own hypotheses, others just wondered if she was taking a break. "Has anyone else noticed Jackie hasn't been around lately?" is one comment. "Yeah, something feels off," would be the response of someone else. The discussion quickly expanded to other venues. Small pages created brief videos, blogs picked it up, and even casual followers started asking the same question. Where is Jackie Greene? Even everyday life adjustments can become headlines when a preacher and his family are in the public eye. This is precisely what took place. There were new rumors every day, and each one exaggerated the severity of the situation. The fact that neither Travis nor Jackie spoke up about it added to the tension. They didn't respond to the remarks, they didn't provide an explanation for her absence, and they didn't post anything to make things clear. The more individuals remained mute, the more the gap that was created, and the more they attempted to fill it with their own presumptions. Some thought she was taking care of personal issues. Others thought there was a problem in the marriage. In an attempt to garner attention, a few pages even made entirely unsubstantiated allegations. The couple's silence allowed these stories to spread, and in a matter of weeks, everyone was curious about the subject. However, Jackie herself remained mute amid all of this commotion, not because she had something significant to conceal, but rather because she didn't want to answer every internet murmur. She had always thought that life should be lived softly and elegantly. However, her surroundings had altered. Her silence was seen as mystery in a time when even a minor disruption can make headlines. Even though she made an effort to avoid the pressure from the public, those who were closely observing her life were growing increasingly irritated every day. They desired answers, clarification, and a narrative. Unbeknownst to Jackie, they were forcing her into a situation that she had been avoiding for months. Jackie's stress of rumors and emotional silence. Jackie was caught between two worlds as the rumors continued to circulate. The noisy, demanding internet community, which was full of people who thought they had a right to know every detail of her life, was on one side. On the other side was her own world, where all she wanted was some quiet, relaxation, and room to breathe. Jackie had never taken pleasure in responding to rumors. She thought it was more mature to remain silent rather than responding to every wrong thing someone said. However, things were different this time. The rumors were being fueled by her silence, and she was under more and more strain every day. She started to notice how stressful even everyday situations could be. She would see comment after comment on social media inquiring about her disappearance. Someone would murmur something behind her when she went to church. Even when she was picking up her kids from school or going grocery shopping, she could feel people observing her and wondering what she was concealing. Jackie wasn't accustomed to receiving such attention. She had always provided Travis with unseen support, letting him take center stage while she concentrated on their family, her own endeavors, and her spiritual development. However, her peaceful way of life was now being viewed as a scandal. Some speculations were harmless, with people speculating that she was just enjoying a vacation. Others, however, were harsh. A few sites implied that her marriage was having issues. Others said she had left the church because of disagreements or private matters. Some even invented spectacular tales that had nothing to do with her actual existence. By mistake, Jackie came upon a few posts, and each one made her heart feel more heavier. She felt uneasy knowing that so many people were making assumptions without knowing the whole story, even though she didn't want to explain herself to strangers. Even though Travis made an effort to console her, he was unaware of the extent to which the rumors were distressing her. Jackie understood. He had a busy job as a preacher and musician, so she didn't want to burden him. In the hopes that it would go away, she kept the most of her emotional burden inside. However, the rumors continued to spread rather than diminish, and as each week went by, the quiet she had previously thought was sensible started to feel like a prison from which she was unable to break free. She understood deep down that this matter would not go away quietly, even if she had no intention of speaking to the public. Something was about to happen that would compel her to talk whether she wanted to or not. Personal challenges, behind the scenes, Jackie was engaged in a personal struggle she never anticipated. She had been managing ministry positions, raising children, being a pastor's wife, and keeping up with travel, events, and unending demands for years. It's a common misconception that missionary families lead stress-free lifestyles. But Jackie was aware that the strain might be unbearable. She had gradually fallen into emotional tiredness without realizing it. Quietly, it began. Even after a full night's sleep, she would still feel exhausted. She began avoiding activities because her head was heavy and her emotions were depleted, not because she didn't care. She started to lose the want to be in public places, which had before come easily to her. Then came the anxiety, a persistent concern that she wasn't doing enough, that she was letting people down, or that she wasn't fulfilling her duties as a wife, mother, and leader in the ministry. Travis made an effort to be encouraging. He told her she didn't have to handle everything by herself and urged her to take a nap. However, Jackie didn't want to appear helpless or weak. Even though her heart felt it wasn't right, she continued to push herself and act as though everything was all right. The mental maelstrom she was concealing was not visible to the outside world, only her absence was. She was embarrassed to acknowledge that she was burned out, especially since she was supposed to be strong all the time. As the strain increased, Jackie eventually came to the realization that she was overwhelmed rather than just exhausted. But rather than coming out and sharing her problem, she retreated even more in the hopes that being by herself would help her. Even if it was benign, some began to doubt that retreat. Nobody was aware that she was experiencing worry and emotional exhaustion. Everyone just assumed the worst. The stories that now surrounded her started with her silence, which was intended to let her heal. A viral incident that marked a turning point. During a religious event one afternoon, everything changed. In an attempt to finally appear in public and allay some of the concerns, Jackie had consented to attend a special ceremony. Travis was pleased to see her going out again because she had been feeling a little better that week. But as soon as she stepped onto the stage, she experienced an unanticipated surge of anxiety that was more intense than anything she had ever experienced. Her hands began to shake, her breathing grew erratic, and her heart began to race. She made an effort to maintain her composure and smile, but the pressure of hundreds of people observing her exacerbated her problems. Before things grew worse, she quietly retreated and left the platform in a matter of seconds. The majority of people in the church were unaware of what had transpired, but someone managed to record a little video of her leaving the church looking upset. On the internet, that video went viral. Headlines like, "Jackie Greene breaks down in public," started to surface within hours. "There's definitely a problem in the Greene household. Is Jackie keeping something secret?" The majority of people made up stories even though they had no idea what had really transpired. She allegedly got into a fight with Travis before to the event. Some claimed she was concealing a serious personal problem. There were many presumptions in the remarks, none of which were true. The pivotal moment was that brief instance of unadulterated human vulnerability. Jackie had been silent for months, but she realized she could no longer remain silent after witnessing her true struggle turned into dramatic rumors. For the first time, she believed that the world would continue to talk for her, if incorrectly, if she didn't speak for herself. This was the turning point that forced her to make a choice she had been putting off for far too long. At last, Jackie speaks up. Jackie ultimately made the decision to speak after weeks of contemplation, prayer, and bravery. One evening, she switched on the camera on her phone while sitting in her living room and recorded a sincere message that was honest, unrehearsed, and unpolished. Although she appeared composed, the weight of everything she had carried in quiet was evident in her eyes. She clarified in her video that there was no secret drama, no scandal, and no marital crisis. She acknowledged that she had been battling total emotional exhaustion, which she had neglected for far too long. She shared with others how she had been constantly challenging herself, balancing parenthood, ministry duties, and everyone's expectations of her. She acknowledged that she could no longer pretend to be all right. She was exhausted, overburdened, and attempting to recuperate in secret, not because she desired attention or mystery. She also made it clear that she had a solid, affectionate, and encouraging connection with Travis. The dispute rumors were only noise made by those who were unaware of her background. "I am human too," she added in a calm and soft voice. "I grow weary, I feel overburdened. I needed time to relax, to breathe, and to take care of my mind. I no longer feel ashamed to express that." People were instantly moved by her candor. The video went viral on social media in a matter of minutes. Those who had previously condemned her were now applauding her bravery. Thousands of loving, thankful, and prayerful comments were received. Jackie was at last relieved, not because she dispelled suspicions, but rather because she made the right decision. Public response and assistance. Jackie never anticipated the intense emotional response she received from the public to her video. People all around the nation started spreading her message, praising it as courageous and motivational. Many women said they had experienced similar emotional exhaustion, but had never had the guts to speak up, and they were relieved to finally feel seen. Some even apologized in the comments after acknowledging that they had made snap judgments about her. Her video was reshared by pastors, ministry leaders, and mental health advocates who valued her candor. It served as a potent reminder to many that even spiritual leaders and their families face difficulties in private. Travis also sent a note, applauding Jackie's fortitude and noting how proud he was of her for speaking from the heart. The final few individuals who had been spreading unfavorable rumors were instantly quiet by his encouraging remarks. Jackie was met with tremendous support rather than drama or criticism. She was reassured that making time for her mental health was a strength rather than a problem. She was praised by many for dispelling the stigma associated with emotional exhaustion and burnout. Jackie felt understood for the first time in months. Healing, rest, and new direction. Once the situation was resolved, Jackie made the decision to give herself the rest she had been refusing for so long. She relinquished a number of obligations in order to concentrate on her recuperation. She reconnected with her interests, spent more time with her family, and engaged in genuine self-care, not the social media sort, but the slow, quiet, healing kind. Travis was there for her at every turn. Together, they discussed the demands placed on leaders and how the emotional cost of constantly being there for people is rarely discussed. They were motivated by this to launch a new program that focuses on ministry families' mental health, reminding leaders that emotional well-being is important and that seeking assistance is not a sign of weakness was their straightforward objective. As the months went by, Jackie reappeared in the public eye, rejuvenated and resilient. She was no longer burdened by expectations or terrified by rumors. With renewed self-assurance, she moved forward, prepared to tell her story and support others as they went through theirs. Vulnerability's strength. Ultimately, Jackie came to the profound realization that speaking your truth doesn't make you weak, and that remaining silent doesn't always protect you. She learned from her experience that when people don't know the true story, they would always make up their own. However, even the strongest rumors vanish when you speak out for yourself. She discovered that being vulnerable is a path to recovery rather than a weakness. She not only freed herself from social pressure by being honest, but she also encouraged many people to take their mental health seriously. Her words, "When you own your story, no rumor can define you," resonated far beyond her circumstances. Not only did Jackie's candor put an end to the allegations, but it also made her a more resilient, intelligent, and kind person.